to my channel. You all sitting here with your girl Nakia. So as you guys can tell by the title of this video, it is story time with your girl. So today we will be talking about the time that I was pregnant with my 1-year-old son and all the drama that I went through with that. First, before we get started, let me just say thank you for your time. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope that what I am about to share can possibly help someone else, whether it is the same thing that I went through, or if it's something else that they may be going through. If you're new to this channel, make sure you subscribe, and if you are already subscribed to this channel, make sure you turn on that bell so this way you can be notified from every video that I do post. Okay, don't mind the noise in the background, guys. I do live by the airport, so there's constant air traffic going by. So let's say my son is actually, he would be 16 months. So I had him June 2020, and when I found out that I was pregnant with him, in October 2019. So this is right before the whole COVID spiel and stuff. So when I found that I was pregnant with him, I found that I was pregnant October 19th. So I was just like, mind you, I already have 2 kids. I have a 10-year-old and I have a 5-year-old. It was unexpected. So when I broke the news to my husband, it was just like, okay, we're just gonna take it off. It's what's meant to be is gonna be. We'll just roll with the punches. Okay, and then I kind of wanted another little boy because my oldest son, Wesley, is a boy, and I kind of wanted to know, like that whole experience about what it would be like to have another boy. So we was excited. So I called the doctor, and I get an appointment scheduled so this way I can get my first ultrasound, see how far along I am, and that whole shebang. So prior to me having an appointment with about the pregnancy, I had already seen this doctor for my annual checkup, the GYN. So I scheduled the appointment. They scheduled my appointment for so mind you, like I said, I found out I was pregnant October 19th. So they scheduled my appointment for the first week of November. I don't remember if it was November 4th or November 6th, but for some reason one of those days stick out to me. So it comes to the appointment. The kids is my appointment actually ended up being after school hours. So we picked Wesley up from school, and I was working at the time, and we go to the doctor's appointment. So we get there, we're pretty excited because we didn't tell the kids yet. We wanted to at least wait till we had our first doctor's appointment before we broke the news to them. So we go to the doctors, we go inside the room. So I'm thinking yeah, I'm gonna get my ultrasound, and everything is gonna work out like it has worked out in past pregnancies. So we see the doctor. Before you see the doctor, you always see the medical assistant or the nurse, whichever they have before you see the doctor. So we see the medical assistant, and she's asking me my last period, and she was like, well, when you was here last time, you told me that as a form of birth control, you had a tube ligation. I said, no, I've never said that to you because that's not true. Why would I tell you I had a tube ligation if I've never had a tube ligation? And that's something that I would know. And she goes, well, that's what's here in my notes. I said, well, obviously it had to be a miscommunication because I've never said that. And on top of that, when you first do your initial when you first time to see the doctor, they have you fill out a bunch of paperwork, and they ask you all those questions. So go back and check the paperwork that was given to you at that time. So then we left that alone. So she was like, okay, everything. So the doctor comes in. Mind you, she's not a doctor, she's a nurse practitioner, but she's who I seen the very first time. So she comes in and she goes, well, it says here that you had a tubal ligation. This is what you told my nurse. I said, no, I just had this conversation with her, and that's not something that I told her. So it turned out to be, something so unnecessary, and it kind of started our appointment off on the wrong foot. So then she was like, well, just so we're gonna get your ultrasound done just to make sure that you're not pregnant in your tubes. So I'm like, okay, why are we even discussing me being pregnant in my tubes and all this when you don't even know what's going on. So I'm already irritated. The appointment's not going the way that I want it to go. And it's just no excitement after that, because now I feel like it's just a back and forth. And you feel that, whatever you said is what it is. So, my husband and my kids, they leave out the room. So she gives me paperwork. She goes, well, we don't do ultrasounds here. We're going to send you to another location where they'll go and you'll have your ultrasound done. Okay. I was like, all right, I'm ready to be over with this anyway. So that was just a little, downfall. And we leave, and my appointment ended up being for the same day, just a later time. So we go on to the next location, and we get there, I get my paperwork and everything. So I wait forever just to see the just to get the sonogram, whatever. So we're inside the room, and they did internally, because when you're in the beginning, they give you ultrasound internally. So, she enters the stuff, so we're looking, and she goes, okay, I see the sac. She goes, but I don't see, I guess, she's seen the sac and what seemed to be like a little tadpole, because, mind you, this is just the beginning of my pregnancy. And she goes, I don't, I can't detect a heartbeat, but she goes, like, I do see these little things moving. And she goes, do you see him? I said, I do see him. She goes, okay, but I'm looking at the sac, and you're not quite measuring to where, how far along it's saying that you are. So at the time it said that I was like, from the ultrasound is reading that I was like 6 weeks, well, from the count from the doctor's math, it was like 6 weeks 6 days, or 6 weeks 4 days, or something like that. And she goes, what do you do? I do see the like little things. So when I looked at it, I didn't see the heart, but I saw these little things going like this on the screen. So she goes, so she'll probably want you to come back like in 2 weeks to get another ultrasound done, just so she could get a better read. So I'm like, okay, that's fine. So I was like, well, can I have a picture? Because normally you get an ultrasound, they give you a picture. She was a little skeptical and hesitant about it. So she was like, oh, of course. So she gives me I think it was about one picture, and it was just of the sac, so it wasn't like of the baby. Like, it didn't look nothing like it did when my previous kids, when I found out I was pregnant. So like I said, so we go home, I go out, and I'm just looking at my husband. I'm just like, I'm not that excited about it, because it just didn't seem like, things was going away, but I refused to let that negative thoughts fill my mind. So, time goes by, and I said to my husband, I'm like, well, you know what? I'm gonna schedule. I think I want to see a different doctor. Like, I don't like, after the whole experience with the first nurse practitioner, I think I'm just gonna come to the location that I went to, because they're the same umbrella. I think I'm gonna go to this location, and do my prenatal hair, because I just wasn't feeling her vibes, and it kind of turned me off, and I just was not feeling her. And this is supposed to be a happy time, and I'm not gonna let her kill my vibe. So a few days go by. So I probably got this ultrasound done like at the end of the week, because I remember going through the weekend, and then like that Monday and Tuesday, it was like either Monday or Tuesday, I'm on my way to work. It was actually a Tuesday. I'm on my way to work, and mind you, I had to be to work by like 9, so it's like 8:30ish. I'm on my way to work, and I get a phone call, and it's the medical assistant. And the doctor told me she was a nurse, but kind of find out she was just a medical assistant. And not to, sub anybody, because it is what it is, but let's not lie about our title, because it's not necessary, okay? They deserve respect, just like a nurse would get respect. She calls me, and she goes, oh, the doctor would like for you to come in so we can do a follow-up, because she received your ultrasound. And I said to her, oh, that's okay, because actually I'm scheduled to see, another doctor, or whatever the case may be. I do appreciate, your time or whatever. She goes, oh, but it's really, important that she has to discuss the ultrasound with you. So I'm like, okay, well, I've never had this happen before, but it kind of made me a little nervous. So I said, okay, when she would like for you to come in today if possible. I said, well, I'm actually on my way to work. Let me call my boss and, let her know that I'm going to come in and see you, and I'll call you back. So I call my boss, and I'm telling her, that the doctor called me, they got my ultrasound, and they want me to come in to discuss it. So my boss was like, fine, that's okay, just come in after you're done the doctor appointment. So I said, okay. So I called the doctor back, and I let them know, okay, I'm on my way. So I get there. So then I'm kind of a little nervous, because I'm like, this has never happened to me before. So I started praying, and I asked the Lord, I said, Lord, I don't know what to expect, I don't know what's going on, but I just pray that you bless my baby, and that you would just cover me in the blood of Jesus. And that no weapon formed against me shall prosper, and whatever is meant to be, that it is all working together for my good, and that it is what you have it to be. So then, I call my husband, I tell him that I'm on my way. He's telling me like, okay, just relax, calm down, and he's home with with Skylar, because at the time she wasn't going to school, and we only had one car at that time, so I had the car. So I was like, he was like, do you want to come pick me up? I said, no, I'll just go to the doctor and I'll just keep you, posted on everything that's going on. So I call my mom and I tell her what's happening. So my mother's like, well, you want me to meet you there? Because I'll come, be there just to see, what's going on, just for support. So I'm like, okay, you can meet me there. So my mom's on her way to meet me. So she gets there a little before I do. And crazy thing is that she's so like crazy about what's going on and not knowing what's gonna happen, what's gonna be told to me. She gets into a little car accident. It wasn't nothing big, but it was just the whole, like, her nerves is all bad. So she meets me at the doctor's office. We go inside together. The doctor brings me in, and she goes, I didn't want to, I just want to let you know that I give you my condolences, but this is not going to be a viable pregnancy. She goes, the doctor, the radiologist looked at the ultrasound. They did detect the heartbeat. When the baby is forming, like, it forms ovaries, whether it's going to be a boy or a girl, and the ovaries normally turn into testicles, I think is how it goes. Don't quote me, because I do not have a medical degree. I do not know, but I'm just going on what she had elaborated to us. So my mom says to her, she goes, so she's telling me, she goes, and this is just something that we allow the body to pass on its own, so that it'll happen on its own. You don't have to take nothing. If by a certain time it doesn't happen, then we normally give you a medication to take, and it'll help you expel the baby. So mother goes, is this definite? She goes, yes, I'm sorry, there's nothing left that that you could do, and it's not your fault, and this happens. And so, like, I'm all sad and I'm crying, and I'm like, wow, I'm really about to experience a miscarriage. Now, sidetrack, I haven't ever experienced a miscarriage. I know women that have, and it's a terrible, terrible feeling, and it's nothing that you can do about it, and it's not your fault. It's just your body, sometimes it's just the way of things happening, because you don't know what is to come of that baby, or the reason why it happened. So I just had to tell myself that mentally, like, okay, things happen for a reason, and sometimes God knows better than we do, and I don't know what's gonna come out of this. So I'm a little sad, I'm depressed. Mind you, I was experiencing morning sickness like no other. I was so sick. That one day I got up, and I was not sick. I was not sick. I stopped before was on my way to work. I stopped and got me a sandwich because I was craving the Subway steak sandwich. I was not sick. I was able to eat my sandwich. I was fine. So I was like, that's weird. I didn't have morning sickness. So I said to the doctor, I'm like, that's probably why, maybe like the baby's releasing. That's probably why I didn't feel any morning sickness today. And the doctor was like, that's possible. So my mom's comforting me, and then I go out the hospital. I go to the doctor. I call my husband. I let him know what's happening, and I'm crying, and he's like, it's okay, babe. We'll try again if you want to. And I'm just like, at that moment, I'm not thinking about trying again. I'm like, I just want to get past this hurdle. And I don't care how long you're pregnant for. A loss is a loss. And I kind of had like a weak spot for all the women that suffer miscarriages, that never get a chance to have a baby. It just makes you appreciate and to like, don't take for granted what is given to you. And I was just really bent up about it. So I came home and I cried and I prayed and I mourned, and I just said, I'm just going to let it be. So I called my job. They gave me time off, and my boss is like, when you come back, when you're ready, and just we'll go from there. So now we go through a few days. I missed a week, and nothing happened. So every day I'm getting up, I'm putting on a sanitary napkin, because I don't know when it's going to happen, and I don't want to be caught, in the out, and it just happens, and then now I'm made a mess all over myself. So every day I'm getting up. Now my morning sickness has came back. So every day I'm getting up, I'm sick as a dog. Okay, I have the morning sickness, and then I'm looking for me to, expel a baby, and every time I go to the bathroom, I wipe, I'm looking for blood. I'm just looking for, when I'm going to expel the baby. So every day I get up, and now, like I told you, this was like the beginning of November. So I'm sick every day. I'm getting up, I'm going to work, I'm dealing with the nonstop, the headache at work. I'm working customer service at a furniture place, so I have customers calling me, asking about furniture and this and that and that and the third. So I'm working with that. Then I'm taking care of home. Then I'm dealing with having morning sickness. And then I'm dealing with the fact that I'm waiting to miscarry my baby. And taking it on, and I'm going, and I'm just asking the Lord to give me his strength, because it's his strength that I need, no longer mine. I get up and I go, and then I'm like, okay, now it is a month later. We're in December, okay? So I go through Thanksgiving, I'm sick and everything, craving, and only could eat or drink certain things and feeling sick. So I'm like, you know what? Let me go ahead and schedule a doctor appointment, because I need to know what is going on. I haven't expelled this baby. I'm still feeling sick, and I need to know what is going on. So I called. What it was is that I was already scheduled for a doctor's appointment. Remember I told you I had scheduled a doctor's appointment for when I thought I was pregnant, before the lady had called me and told me that I no longer was. So I said, you know what, I'm gonna keep that doctor's appointment just in case, because it's like they want to see you after you so-called had expelled the baby. So I'm like, well, I'll keep that doctor's appointment and just see, what's going on. So that appointment was for December. Is that how it goes? No, the next doctor's appointment, I ended up canceling because I said I was going to have a miscarriage, because that was scheduled for the 18th of November. I didn't go to that doctor's appointment. I canceled. So I ended up calling. Like I said, it was now December. I called. The beginning of December, I called and scheduled another appointment, and, tell them to do a follow-up, explain to them all the details. So that's how it went. It was the beginning of December. I remember being like December 3rd or something like that, and then me going in to see the doctor. So I'm there. I'm sick, still experiencing morning sickness. It's still a whole month later. And I waited 2 hours to see the doctor that I was scheduled to see, because there was an accident on the highway, and she was backed up in traffic, so it was a 2-hour delay. Now they was trying to reschedule people, but I was so determined that I needed to see the doctor that day that I was not going to let nothing deter me, because I wanted to get this done and over with. I wanted to know what was going on. Why haven't I expelled the baby, and why am I still feeling morning sickness if this is not a viable pregnancy? So when the doctor comes in, mind you, like I said, she was 2 hours late. She walks in. This is my first time meeting her. She says to me, so at that appointment is when I find out that she's not a doctor, she's another nurse practitioner. So she walks in, and the first thing she does is she, touches the hand sanitizer thing. She gets the hand sanitizer. She's rubbing her hands. She goes, I'm sick, and I don't plan on doing a whole lot of talking today. So that right there just was like, what is up with these people? Like, when they hire these people, do they check attitudes? Do they, know that they're caring for sick patients and people that are going through things? And so I'm like, okay. So she goes, what can I do for you? So she's looking in through my notes, whatever, and I'm explaining to her what's going on. So she's looking, and she looks at the calendar. She goes, okay, that is, some time that the body hasn't expelled the baby. She goes, but sometimes things happen. So I said to her, is there any way that I can get an ultrasound done just to make sure that this isn't a viable pregnancy? Because like I said, I've been sick every day since I found out that I was pregnant. She goes, yeah, but sometimes your HCG levels your hormones will just be so high, even though there's not a viable pregnancy, you can still have morning sickness. So me not knowing, I've never been through this, I didn't know. So then I'm like, okay. So she goes, we don't really give ultrasounds like this until after you had expelled the baby, because we don't want to traumatize you. I said, as if this isn't traumatizing enough, that I'm getting up with morning sickness every day, that I still haven't expelled the baby almost a month later, and I've already been through everything. So I don't think it could get any worse than this. She goes, this is what we'll do. Well, good, but seem to get lab work done for 4 days. So she gave me the days that I'm to go. She goes, and we'll check your blood levels. And if your blood levels are declining, tremendously, then we know that the pregnancy has ended. And we'll go ahead and we'll schedule you to, take the pill, and the pill will help you expel the baby. So I'm like, okay, bet. So I go down, I get my first set of lab work done, and then I go 2 days later, get lab work done. So now this is like a Friday that she has her medical assistant call me. She calls me, she goes, okay, hey, this is Dr. So-and-so's office, and we just wanted to call you and let you know that she's gonna go ahead and send a prescription into your pharmacy for you to go ahead and take the pill because your lab work, so mind you, I didn't even do the whole 4 days of lab work. I only did 2 days. She goes, your blood levels have dropped tremendously, and that your pregnancy is ending. She goes, I said, are you sure? She was like, yeah. She said, so you could go ahead and take the pills. She already put the prescription in, pick it up for the pharmacy. So the pharmacy calls me, lets me know that my prescription's been, filled. And when I'm there, I go there. So I'm like, well, let me at least eat, now, because I was in the middle of making breakfast. So let me eat, and then I'll go pick up my medicine. So I get, I tell my husband what's what. He's, we're just looking at each other like it is what it is. I guess we were just really hoping for the best. And we go ahead and I go ahead to the pharmacy, I pick up the prescription, and she goes to me, has your doctor consulted you on how to take these pills? And I said, no. She just called and told me to pick them up, and that's that. So she, gave me a consultation on how to take the pills and what not to do and what to do. So I come home and I wait till a certain time. Then I'm like, because then I'm psyching myself up, like, take the pill, because I know if I take the pill, what it's going to make me do. So I wait till a certain time, and then I go ahead and I take the pill, and then, nothing happens right away. And hours later, all of a sudden, I start cramping. And it's not really bad cramps at first, it's just mild cramps. But I'm starting to cramp, and I go to the bathroom, and, when I use the bathroom, I wipe, there's, blood there. So as time goes on, my mom stops by. She, brought me a little care package, and I'm home, and I'm just going through the motions. So like my body's cramping, and I'm, bleeding or whatnot, and it's just really traumatizing. So every time I go to the bathroom, I'm looking to see if I ever see anything that looks like, like, I guess it's not much of a baby, but anything that's like a big clot or anything. And I didn't pass any clots. I just had, little things of blood, and looks more like a light period. So I didn't know what really to look for. So I'm on Google, and I'm Googling stuff, and I'm like, what to expect, because now days is going by, and I'm noticing, like, okay, it never was nothing really crazy. Like the next day I had mild cramps, I cramped or whatever, but it wasn't like what I was expecting or what people told me, like, you have really, really bad cramps and it'd be like a really, really heavy period. I didn't experience that. I just experienced like more like a mild period with mild cramps, like what, like little, like uncomfortable, like really not bad cramps, because like Motrin got rid of it. So then, when they gave me the pills, she said, we had you scheduled for a 2-week follow-up. You come in 2 weeks, and we'll try just to make sure, it has taken its course and you have expelled everything. So when I go in, so when I had scheduled my appointment, I had said to them, this is when I had seen a nurse practitioner, when I scheduled my 2-week follow-up, I said to them, I said, you know what? This time around, I don't want to see her again. I want to see a doctor. I don't want to see a nurse practitioner. I want to see a doctor. I want to see someone that's going to be a little more caring, a little more supportive, give you a little more concern about what is going on. And they're like, okay, we have this doctor. It's a guy, and he's really good, and XYZ, and he's actually a doctor, not a nurse practitioner. So I'm like, okay. So 2 weeks. Now, mind you, in that 2 weeks, it's getting close to like Christmas time. So this is like a Friday. I go and I see him, and I get there, and they give me a pregnancy test. I take the pregnancy test. My pregnancy test come back like this, pregnant. And he says to me, so he goes, we're going to give you, and we're going to do an internal check, and check you internally. So I was like, oh, I wasn't expecting that. He goes, we're just going to check you internally. He had a student doctor with him, and he checks me, and he goes, so, just want to let you know, he said your pregnancy test came back that you're pregnant. He goes, but sometimes, the hormone levels could just still be high. And he goes, but I just want to let you know you haven't expelled the baby yet. You're still, the baby's still there. So I'm like, what the heck? So now there's like double whammy, because not only am I still pregnant and I haven't expelled the baby, but what did I do? I cramped, I bled, and I'm still sick. Okay, I still have my morning sickness. Okay. And I'm just like, I don't know what the heck to expect. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what to do. So he goes, this is what we're going to do. We're going to send you down to the lab. We're going to get some blood work done. We're going to check your blood levels. He goes, I normally don't work weekends. He goes, but I'm in the office Saturday to finish up some extra work, before the holidays. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a call once your blood levels come in, and because we should get them like the next day. And I'll give you a call to schedule, because this time we'll have you come in, and this time we'll insert the pills vaginally, because sometimes they may not be strong enough when you took them orally. So we'll insert them vaginally, and that should help, clear everything out. So I'm like, okay. So now I'm devastated. Now I go to work after my doctor's appointment. I'm crying. I'm just like, this is just the worst experience I've ever had in my life. Not only am I having a miscarriage for the first time in my life, but it's really drastic, and like, and like a lot is going on. So that Saturday comes, he never calls, and I'm just like, well, maybe he got overworked. So then I'm like, they're closed on Sundays. They even close on Saturdays, so I couldn't even call him Saturday to find out anything. So Monday comes, and I'm like, well, I haven't heard from him at a certain time. Let me call them, because maybe, he has forgotten. So when I call, they take a message. They're like, okay, but pass the message on to him. We'll have him give you a call as soon as, I guess he finds out whatever he needs to find out. Monday came and went. Never got a phone call. So now it's Tuesday. A girl is pissed, because now I'm like, all right, enough is enough. They don't care about my body. They don't care what's going on. Something needs to be done. I need an ultrasound. I need to see what is going on. So this is Tuesday, okay? And Tuesday comes. They're like, what she says to me, she goes, okay, yeah, he's not, we'll have him give you a call, or whatever the case may be. He's not in the office right now, but we'll have him give you a call as soon as we can. So Tuesday comes and it goes. Again, no phone call. So now it's Wednesday. It's Christmas Eve, okay? So now I'm like, okay, enough is enough, because now they're gonna be closed for Christmas, sometime the day after Christmas, and I'm about to be sick and going through this for Christmas. I'm not gonna be able to enjoy Christmas Day with my kids and nothing like that. Like, all right, something has to be done. So this time when I call, I'm like, I need to see somebody today. I'm like, it's Christmas Eve. I'm like, it's about to be Christmas, and I go through the whole spiel of what's going on. So the medical assistant puts me on hold. She goes, okay, I'm put you on hold for a second. So when she comes back, she goes, okay, I don't have a doctor here that's going to be able to see you, because they all, are out of the office. She goes, but I spoke to my supervisor, and she says that it's very urgent that you go to the urgent care that is, with this company. She goes, and see the urgent care doctor, and we're going to put in for you to see, to have an ultrasound done, just to see what's going on, and make sure you don't have an infection, and let's see, like I said, like what's going on. So I'm like, okay. So I leave work, I go to the urgent care, and I'm sitting in urgent care, and they take my blood work. They had me take a urine test, and then they put me in the office, and they send me downstairs. I get the ultrasound done, and so while the ultrasound tech is there, she's like, she's looking around, whatever. So it's like, it was a little out of the ordinary, because I'm like, well, what the heck does she see? So then she says to me, goes, what are you here for again? So I explained the whole, scenario to her, and I tell her, what was going on, and she's like, oh, okay. So then I asked her, I said, do you know how long it'll take for them to get the results to find out? Because I'm anticipating, what is going on, and I'm scared, like, is everything going to be okay down there, whatever the case may be? And she goes, yeah, normally the radiologist, looks at everything. It takes about 20-25 minutes to send the doctor the notes, and then, the doctor will tell you what's going on. So I get back inside my room, and I'm sitting there, and I wasn't there no longer than 5 or 10 minutes after she brought me back to my room, when the doctor walks in. And he walks in, and then he says to me, he goes, wait, because I have to get a chair for this. So he goes out, he gets his chair, he rolls in, he closes the door. So he sits in front of me, and when he sits in front of me, he bends over, he claps his hands together, and he goes to me, he goes, now, do you want the good news, or do you want the bad news? So at this point, I'm like, man, just lay it on me, because it's like, what more could you be telling me? He goes, okay, so the good news is that you're still pregnant, you're 13 weeks and 4 days. So I was like, pregnant? You mean like with the actual baby? He goes, yes, the baby is still there. He goes, and he explained to me, he goes, the radiologist normally sends me, faxes me the paperwork, so whatever was going on. He said the radiologist called me and was like, this woman is still pregnant. And the baby is still alive. The baby is growing, and everything looks the way that it's supposed to look as far as for a 13-week, 4-day baby. So then he goes, the bad news is you're going to be a high-risk pregnancy. He goes, one, because of my age, I was past the 35 mark, and two, because of the pills that I have taken, they don't know what type of side effects it may have had with the baby. He goes, so what we're gonna do is we'll go ahead and get you scheduled to see somebody, that you schedule yourself to see a doctor. So I'm like, yeah, I'm not going back to that location. So he goes, Merry Christmas. I'm like, yeah, absolutely right, Merry Christmas. And he says to me, he goes, I have to hug you. So like this was like such a big thing, and like everybody in their little cubicle or like their little thing was talking about it, because it was like they gave her pills. They didn't give her no ultrasound. They never double checked. So they dropped the ball at the clinic that I was seeing. So, I called my insurance company. I filed a complaint with them. Because I really didn't know what to do. But I just, to get off track, I just want to say, one day I was driving home from work and I heard the Lord's voice clear as day tell me, just forgive. And I didn't know, like he was telling me to forgive the doctors, but I didn't know the reason behind it. And like I said, in the beginning, when I wasn't expelling the baby, I kept thinking like, maybe I still am pregnant and they just don't know. But I heard the Lord tell me, just forgive. Just forgive, right? So, I called my insurance company because everybody was like, oh, you can sue, you can do this. And it wasn't even about the money. At that time, I was just more concerned about the health of my baby and just being able to just have a healthy pregnancy. And, that's what my concern was. The fact that my baby is healthy and that nothing was wrong with him. I wasn't thinking about money. And I also knew what the Lord had told me. He told me to forgive. Okay? So I felt like that was enough. If he was giving me my baby, here goes, this is AJ. Say hi. If he was giving me my baby and I was going to be able to have him, this is all I needed, okay? Ain't no amount of money worth having the joy of my little booger. So, I called my insurance company. I filed a complaint with them and let them know everything that I went through in the beginning of my pregnancy. And, they looked for me a good doctor. So I ended up getting a really good doctor in the end. And it just goes to show you that when God has something for you, no man can stop that. When you pray and you give yourself to him, there's nothing that anybody can do. And listen, God spoke life into him. And God is the one that said, they will not be able to take from you what I'm giving to you. And that's why my baby is here today. And he was alive the whole entire time. They were wrong. And this just goes to show you that it's okay to get a second opinion. Don't never let a doctor tell you what you can't do. Okay? You ask for a second opinion. Get them ultrasounds before a second ultrasound. Be for certain before you let them tell you something that you may feel is not right. Okay? Because I wish that I would have really pushed to get that second ultrasound before I took that pill, just to be for certain, because I felt it and I just let the doctor tell me that it wasn't, and they were wrong. They were wrong all the way. And when I took the pill, I was a little concerned, but when I had seen the specialist, the doctor, they told me that when they gave me the pill, I was already past 10 weeks. So everything on him had already formed. His eyes was formed, his nose was formed. A lot of times with those pills, it's because it's the same pill that they give women that choose to have an abortion. They said that, and if the woman doesn't abort the baby, that the baby can be born with cleft lip. But everything his lips had closed up. Everything was already formed. So there wouldn't have been, anything, no deformities or anything. And they said psychologically, they don't know, like, if you have a disability like that, there's no way for them to know that until the baby is born. But I speak life and health over my child, okay? And to this day, he is okay. So, yep, that's my little story time. like I said, it was really a tough time, but we got through it. And I had AJ, and he ended up being just a healthy baby boy, and he's full of life. And I thank God for him. And I hope that this story, you know, kind of can encourage someone. And if anyone is out there that has experienced a miscarriage, and, you know, like, it is a terrible, terrible feeling, because here it was, I was mourning a baby that was alive the whole time. But I also got to know what the shoe felt like on the other foot, you know? So it kind of made me a little more like it softened up my heart for women that go through things like that. Whether you have, you know, a baby afterwards, and whether you never get to experience that. But I hope, you know, this can be encouragement for you, that you know that God can work anything out, and when God is in control, there's nothing that anybody can do to stop what he has already put together. But I'm gonna go ahead and end this video. I enjoy being able to share my little story, because I feel like this is my testimony, and my son already has a story, you know. My son already has a testimony as when he gets older. And that's where we got the name Amari from, because Amari actually means God's promise, and my husband chose that name. So yep, so Amari's name has meaning, because he is God's promise. Okay. So if you haven't subscribed to this channel, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you hit that bell so you can be notified for every video that I post. Make sure you hit that like button. And I do want to encourage you to keep God first. Make sure you give him his time. Make sure that he is the head of your household. And just let us encourage each other. Go ahead and let's join this family so we can become one in the kingdom of God. I thank you. I love you. And I wish you the best. I'm now checking out. Love you.